All right. Welcome, everybody, and thank you again to the Zero Project for hosting this incredible fireside chat. My name is Stephane LEBLOIS. I am the Chief Community and Programs Officer for the Valuable 500. As an audio description, I'm a white male with graying hair and a silly mustache wearing a gray vest. And I'm joined today by the incomparable Donna BUNGARD from Indeed, who will be, I guess, introducing herself.
Thank you so much. Hi, all. My name is Donna BUNGARD. I am the Senior Accessibility Program Manager over at Indeed. I am a 40-something woman with dark hair, dark glasses, and wearing a bright red shirt today. And really excited to be here with you.
I'm excited too, and this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and certainly something that's on the mind of the disability community and companies alike. And I want to jump right in. So, could you tell me first a little bit about your role at Indeed and kind of where you sit in the business and how you support Indeed in their disability inclusion and accessibility efforts?
Absolutely. Fantastic question. Well, if anyone looks at my Slack message, you will easily see that I always say that I am sprinkling accessibility glitter wherever I go. And that's because if anyone has had glitter in their home, they know that once it's there, it's never going away. And it spreads. So that is my unofficial role, but more officially, I'm housed in the marketing department, which means I get to work with the most incredible creatives and logistical individuals I've ever gotten the opportunity to work with, and finding ways to infuse disability inclusion and accessibility more and more into our everyday, into our norms, into our DNA. And then I have the privilege of working with partners throughout the organization, partners in our ESG teams, partners in our customer service teams, in our employee resource groups. I even got to consult on a real estate bit. I've gotten to speak with our VP Plus crowd on disability and accessibility and all of these wonderful things. So I've gotten really privileged to get to play in all sorts of sandboxes while living in as I said, a glorious marketing department full of these wonderful, energetic people who are just genuinely inclusive. The whole company. I'm really lucky.
Amazing. And that sets the stage for a little bit later when we talk about what specifically Indeed is doing and to advance the ball both internally and also in your service offerings. But one of the topics of this talk is really about really focuses on skills-based employment. And so in your words, I'd love for you to define that and then talk about why skills-based employment is the way forward. And we'll start there and riff.
That sounds perfect. Well, skills first hiring basically talks a lot about what people do bring with them to the table. It's a matter of breaking down a lot of barriers across the board by let's not worry about how you're getting the job done. Do you have the skills to do the role? Are you capable of doing this? And that's great. So by doing this, we're taking away some of the education gap because people with disabilities around the world have huge education gaps of what they're able to do. And I know that's one of the main things we're talking about here at Zero Project this week is education and how to close that gap. But right now, there are millions of people who have experienced that gap, but who have acquired those skills through alternative routes. And they are talented, energetic, incredible professionals in a variety of industries and fields, and they just need the opportunity. It's one of those things we talk about a lot throughout Indeed is that talent is universal, but opportunity is not. And by looking strictly at the skills that people bring with them, we're able to transcend a lot of the bias and barriers. So skills first is something we're seeing adoption of because more and more employers are recognizing that it doesn't have to be XYZ behind somebody's name. They have to be able to do a role. So it's really exciting work.
It is exciting, and at the same time, what I'm hearing from you is companies are starting to adopt this model of framing job requirements that, again, to your point, takes away the emphasis on, what university you went to or any other certifications you might have, and places more emphasis, on actual capability, right? And that's huge, and it's quite frankly, it's a disruptor. And so we heard that like some companies are adopting it, but some are not. And so could you tell us, like, anecdotally maybe, what some of the barriers you've heard companies facing in adopting this? Because again, like, it can completely revolutionize the way that you tap into the disability employment market.
Absolutely. And one of the key things to do for any company out there is to really focus on what have you always done? Because a lot of companies, and I know in my past lives, I was guilty of this too. Oh, we have a job description. We'll use this old one as a template. We'll just put it out there quickly. I'm busy. I'm multitasking. Go, go, go. Nobody needed to lift 25 pounds, except maybe if you are having a bad day and had a very large mug of coffee. I have a beer stein that I used to put my coffee into. I mean, it wasn't quite 25 pounds, but it got there. Close. My point is, though, look at the processes. Is there a phone screening that is a standard operating procedure? Well, that's cutting out a lot of the deaf and hard of hearing community. That might be screening out individuals with the various cognitive disorders or disabilities. We have a various number of comorbidities out there that might impact this. So what we want to talk about and look at is, what are we doing? What has always been done? What feels normal? Because are we screening out incredible talent because of it's an older template, it's an older process? It didn't occur to me that, maybe I needed to rethink, what does a strong communicator mean? I mean, we're up here, we're being strong communicators, but okay. No, but earlier today, I was in a conversation with people who were speaking in ASL. I was not a strong communicator. I was very weak in that discussion. It's something I'm personally working on, but I'm not there yet. So what does a strong communicator mean? Think about the words you're using, thinking about the skills you're asking for, and analyzing that. And I think the more and more companies are taking that pause, that breath, the more change we're seeing.
And so, knowing that this is a point of emphasis for you, this is a point of emphasis for Indeed, how does that manifest in the way that you work with your corporate clients, right? Like, how do you kind of sound this idea with folks and get them to cross or break down the barriers that prevent them from using this practice?
It's a lot of conversation. Last year at FutureWorks, we had a remarkable panel where we had our SVP of ESG, we had Haben Girma, and we had a gentleman named Vince Bragg. I hope I'm saying his name right, from Concreates, and they were talking about disability, they're talking about justice impacted, they're talking about education, and they're talking about the barriers, and they're just having conversations about the barriers, what they are, and all the successful, talented, incredible humans out there who are being screened out daily, and some of the ways that we can, rewrite the script. And that's one of my personal, Donna, not necessarily, this is Donna's goal, is to rewrite the script about disability inclusion. That it's not about breaking down barriers for people, it's about breaking down the barriers for employers. Employers are missing out on talent. So it just comes down to having these conversations and creating a vocabulary for people to continue to have these conversations outside of moments like this, or moments like FutureWorks, or moments like a specific article. It's about just keeping the conversation going.
And so up until now, we've really been talking about Indeed's role as kind of in working with your corporate clients, in your kind of the external commitments and external actions that you're making to advance this agenda. let's look a little bit internally. We at the Valuable 500, we often talk about, which companies walk the talk, as it were, not to use an ableist term, but which companies actually abide by their commitments, which companies are doing the work internally as well. And what I just want to know from you, Donna, we heard a little bit about what your role is, but how do you see disability inclusion and accessibility rolling out internally at Indeed?
It is the most advanced organization I've had the privilege of working with. It is at multiple levels. We, of course, I mentioned, had that training last week where all senior leadership are engaged and involved in having these conversations. But we also have employee resource groups that have recently been repositioned, I suppose, as business resource groups, because these groups of employees are not just influencing each other. They're influencing how the business looks at being inclusive. And then we also have satellite groups off of that. There's a fantastic channel I'm a part of about neurodivergence. And there's a lot of discussion about what works, what hasn't worked, what challenges, what's funny, what's entertaining and engaging for us. There's satellite groups all over. And then there's just in general a community sense of let's, again, have that conversation. Let's make it safe to talk about it. And whether or not someone wants to disclose in a larger or formal setting, or if somebody wants to disclose, hey, I need some help, can someone DM me or direct message me about something, can we chat? And we do it. And of course, there's also the HR is incredible. The legal side of the accommodations are that's there too. But the fact that we have these multiple layers of engagement and multiple layers of support is where we live up to our values.
And self-ID, disclosure, and generally, more than anything, building cultures of trust internally at companies is something that the Valuable 500 pays close attention to. The roles that ERGs play in that is also huge. So it's very much, what you're saying is very much resonating with me. I think that let's put the business to business hat on. Obviously, as you just mentioned, Indeed is doing so many things well. But in order to do those things well, there need to be careful plans laid out. There needs to be the right governance. There needs to be the right resourcing allocated towards these certain activities. So for leaders who may be in the starting blocks, or companies who are in the starting blocks who who have a ways to go to get to where you're at, what can you offer as sage words of wisdom to help them along, at least to get started or to get the machine rolling, as it were?
Employers, people with disabilities are already working at all of these organizations. I mean, I'll just use a U.S. statistic for an example. 27% of the United States population identifies with a disability, and most companies have a 4 to 7% disclosure rate. We're already here. The disability community is already there, and whether or not they're comfortable disclosing or they're sharing this with you doesn't change the fact that we're already there. So what we need to do is create cultures where, sharing our own stories, sharing that, I jokingly tell people how I'm mysteriously neurodivergent because in the late 80s, early 90s, they had no idea what to do with me. They're like, yeah, she's different. Let's just say learning disabled. But the truth of the matter is we have to get up and we have to share our stories and share that, and then not be afraid of when we're wrong, because we're going to be wrong. We were actually, before the camera started rolling, chatting about individuals who have to stand up and say, oh, wow, I don't know that answer yet. And that's okay. It's okay not to know the answers right away. It's okay that even if you've come very far from where you were, tomorrow you might not have the answer. And that's okay, as long as we're continually learning. It's that iterative approach. It's the understanding as much as we can today, and then going ahead and trying to learn more tomorrow.
There is a colleague and someone I consider a friend, and certainly somebody I learn a lot from, Andy Garrett at GSK, used this phrase to kind of encapsulate what you said, which is, don't chase data, chase culture. And what he meant by that is, companies who get hung up on using self-ID as the sole measure for success lose out, because what you're not focusing on is the most important bit, which is creating cultures of trust, creating that internal capacity to actually work towards people feeling comfortable enough to disclose. And so I think you said that really beautifully. And so as we close out, I think we have close to right around 15 seconds. Any last parting words, and maybe where do we find you? Where do we learn more about skills-based employment?
Well, you can always go to Indeed. We have a lot of resources there for employers or job seekers, and they can just look at our content. Look me up, Donna BUNGARD. I'm all over random socials, and and I am happy to again keep the conversation going. I think as long as we're talking and learning, we're on the right path, and certainly everyone here at this conference is emulating all of that. So thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you to the Zero Project, the folks in the audience. Hi. That's it.